You're listening to Rotten Gems,
the show where four dudes talk about movies we love
that critics maybe thought should be used as a human shield because they're definitely wearing body armor.
Let's get rotten.
Marcus and I saw this together in theaters.
What do we always say? Let's get right.
I think I'll red.
The Rotten Gems.
If you're still listening, or if you just finished recruiting the greatest mercenary team and had them loaded in your van with C4 that you packed with your own two hands, when the van exploded and the severed hand of a close friend landed next to you holding a phone playing this podcast, so you started listening in their memory, well, we thank you. And who is we?
I'm Marcus.
I'm John.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Keenan, and we are your Rotten Gems crew. Today we're talking about the 2010 comedy MacGruber, starring Will Forte, Kristen Wiig, and Val Kilmer.
MacGruber.
No shock here, but this movie shockingly didn't do well with critics, and also with the audience. So this movie actually came in at 48% with the critics and 35% with the audience. So the audience actually disliked this movie even more than critics.
Not funny!
Is what they thought, definitely. So this movie also came in on IMDb as a 5.6 out of 10. That's 5.6 sketchbooks filled with KFBR 392, 5.6 throat rips, 5.6 stalks of celery up your butt out of 10.
Brilliant.
All right, so we're going to be going in this movie, going over detail of a 12-year-old movie. So if you have not seen this and you want to avoid spoilers, now would be a key time to tune out. Time's up.
Or just listen to us and then watch the movie after.
Yeah, you might enjoy it.
You'll like it more.
Yeah.
We watched it for you.
Yeah, exactly. We did the work.
Yeah.
We know you love it.
So quick summary of the movie.
30 seconds, McKeenan.
MacGruber.
All right, so I can do this.
Got this.
All right, no pressure. All right, former special operative MacGruber is called back into action.
10 seconds, McKeenan.
Okay, Marcus, hand me that paper. John, hand me that tissue box.
Here you go, MacGruber.
God, I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. Oh, God. So he's brought back to take down his arch enemy, Dieter von Kunth, who possesses a nuclear warhead bent on destroying Washington, D.C. Oh, I did it.
You did it. Good job.
All right, so before we get into the movie, let's go ahead and do what we typically do. Go around the table and kind of get our first impressions, what we remember about the movie. You want to go ahead and start us? Brett?
Oh, this is new. Ooh. Is this what this feels like?
The power.
Okay, so this movie came out in 2010. So I was a high school senior at this time, and this was one of the funniest movies that I could possibly imagine. I watched it in theaters. I bought the Blu-ray, which I never opened. So today, when I was looking like how to watch this movie, I was like, I could watch the Blu-ray, or I could just get it online. Never opened the Blu-ray. And I'm pretty sure I bought it right when it came out. So it's been a while since I've seen it. I was a little apprehensive going into it. Like, obviously, my humor has evolved in 12 years. I really thought I wasn't going to find this movie funny anymore, but I guess you'll see.
For me, I do remember seeing it. I'm sure I saw it in theaters. I wasn't
With Keenan, of course.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I wasn't a high school senior. I was older than that because I'm not as young as Brett. But
Thank you.
I remember really liking it in theaters, and then honestly, I don't remember much of this movie before watching it, besides quotes that Keenan would always quote to me. And I think, like Brett, I had the DVD that I bought from Blockbuster for like $5, the used ones. And
What's Blockbuster?
Yeah. You're too young for that. And I did that DVD to convert voodoo thing. I don't think I ever watched it on DVD once.
Oh, nice. You had the digital then.
I do now.
Nice. So for me, I was pretty excited to go in and watch this again. I've enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was really funny. It hasn't been that long since I've seen it because I think it came in a round of some streaming service a couple years ago. But I was interested to see if I still felt the same because, after a couple times, some things may or may not change.
I will say it was kind of hard to maybe find the movie right away because when you search MacGruber, there's a few things you could watch. We got the SNL sketches, the movie. There's a show now, right?
There's also a second movie, I guess, coming out, which popped up on my Google search.
So I saw that too, and I thought that the MacGruber
show.
2 is the show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Or maybe they were gonna make a movie and then they decided to make a show because it's on Peacock.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is produced by the NBC people, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Those NBC people.
Lauren Michaels, Seth Meyers, I think was a producer on this.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, he was. I think he co-wrote it with Yorma. I mean, I don't know for sure. I saw
actually
his
that
name.
was John Solomon that co-wrote it. Also, Will Forte.
Get wrecked.
Scrub.
Edit that out, please.
Nope.
Our credibility.
Oh, after the connection game, everybody's like, all right, these guys.
You guys have no credibility.
There's clear editing in here.
They have 19 episodes now of knowing there's no credibility.
Bold of you to assume that people have listened to 19 episodes of this. I haven't even, and I talk all of them.
So for me, I guess thinking back, this was in 2010, so I definitely saw this in theaters with Marcus. Around that time, this is probably peak Saturday Night Live for me. I think this is probably my favorite cast on Saturday Night Live. So you probably have Will Forte, obviously. I believe Kristen Wiig was on during that time. Bill Hader. So just a huge
The
cast.
Lonely Island.
Yeah, everybody on the Lonely Island and
that was
doing
that.
the shorts.
That was 2010, Lonely Island.
I think they started before that, but they were still on during 2010.
Well, I mean, you got one of the Lonely Island being the director of the movie.
Just thinking back, because I had so much faith in the cast of Saturday Night Live during that time, I knew I was going to enjoy this movie. Did I now? We'll find out.
On next, oh wait, no, that's this episode. Next time,
Next
on Dragon Ball Z.
We're still on Snake Road.
Yep.
It's only two. It's only two seasons, Keenan.
It's been 19 episodes.
Planet Namek's gonna explode in 5 minutes.
Oh man.
Before we go into the movie, I know we always like to pull up a critic review and then kind of revisit that towards the end. All right, so our review is Kate Murr from the Times UK, who says, an action comedy thriller, although termed dud is better, MacGruber is based on recurring American Saturday Night Live sketch, a joke funny for 20 seconds, but not 99 minutes. How dare you?
What the hell, Kate? We'll see if we feel any different by the end of this.
We'll see. But if we don't have anything else, do you guys want to, I don't know, talk about the movie?
Movie.
All right. So the movie opens up with Siberia, where we're seeing a bloody scene of a heist of some sort. We don't know what's being stolen at this time, but we soon find out from our villain, who I do want to give kind of a little warning. We're probably going to say this guy's name multiple times throughout this podcast, and I'm going to feel uncomfortable every time I say it. But his name's Kunth.
This pleases me.
So I guess a warning, if you do not enjoy hearing that word or anything close to it, this isn't the one for you. So we find out that he's stealing a warhead, a nuclear warhead, if there's any other type.
The X5.
What did you guys think about the scene?
I was surprised. I forgot that Val Kilmer was the bad guy. You know what? I think he did a pretty good job.
It's also again, I haven't seen this movie since probably theaters. And it opens up with this bloody scene. And I'm like, what, am I watching the wrong movie? I felt like this is a comedy, right? And I saw Val Kilmer. I'm like, oh no, this is it. I forgot. Yeah.
I guess that could be part of people's problem with the movie is they go in that first scene thinking that they're going to get kind of a grittier version of this with how it looks, and then it just completely flips right after credits.
I mean, unless if you've seen no trailers for this, maybe that's what you would expect.
It's funny that you said that, Brett, of a different movie, because maybe I haven't seen that beginning most of the time when I watch the movie. Like I walk out for the first minute or 2 minutes. When it was playing, I was like, is this the right movie? Like, am I watching the right movie? I literally had to pause to see the name of the movie and then play again. And then you see Val Kilmer too. And you're like, all right, it's the right movie. But I was like, is it the right movie?
I would have thought if you saw Val Kilmer, you'd be like, no, I'm definitely watching the wrong movie.
Yeah. And what's great is like Val Kilmer for the rest of the movie. I mean, besides maybe a few goofy jokes, I guess, for the most part, plays it straight the whole time. And I thought that was really good.
I heard that they were given the instruction, like, play this as if you're in Die Hard. So they all, like, he took the role very seriously.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it worked.
Job.
Yeah. We've made a big deal about great opening theme songs in the past, and this is another one. I actually audibly laughed during these opening credits at some of these lyrics. Did anybody else, like, when they're like...
I don't remember them. I remember listening to them and, you know, chuckling a little bit.
Well, it's a good thing you don't remember them because I wrote them all down. So opening credit song is just like showing how MacGruber's like an inventor and whatnot. And like some of my favorite lyrics is making life-saving inventions out of household materials, MacGruber. And like, okay, I get it. And then the guy's a fucking genius, MacGruber.
Oh, I remember the last one.
Which was?
We made a fucking movie or something like that.
So yeah, I was already like, okay, I'm feeling better about watching this movie again right then and there. But anyway.
That is actually the song that they play on Saturday Night Live. So before every time they do the sketch on Saturday Night Live, they play that song.
So like it's TV, so they can't say the F word, of course. So what do they do?
I think
They
it's
just say
literally the two lines you
Oh,
said.
just those two?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen a single MacGruber SNL sketch.
Same.
Yeah.
Missing out?
Yeah, you guys are missing out. They're great because they're like 15 seconds long or whatever, but they are so funny.
There's some that continue. So it's like they do 15 seconds of whatever. The explosion happens, and then it goes back, and it's still the same story as the first. So
Okay.
you're just getting a continuation.
Maybe I'll look up a compilation or something on YouTube.
Yeah, there's one where it's Charles Barkley, and you find out MacGruber is extremely racist.
Doesn't surprise me.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next scene. So we see Colonel Faith in Ecuador with Dixon Piper going to recruit MacGruber.
Just amazing names in this movie too, by the way.
Dixon Piper,
Colonel Faith. Yeah.
Dixon Piper. Can we talk about that sick ass backflip MacGruber does to stand up?
I watched the special features on the DVD, and that guy actually did it. That was actually a stunt guy, and legitimately just came up from the ground and did that flip.
That was crazy.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that Will Forte did it. I was like, what?
He did all his own stunts.
No strings.
It was the scene where they go and get him too. Like, it's funny when you watch movies and then they remind you of other movies as well. This one really had some Ace Ventura vibes for me. Well, the second one, I guess, when Nature Calls and they were going to recruit him, he's just alone in this little, I guess it was a church. And they
I know. Now I remember the monks.
Yeah.
They, like convince him to go or whatever
And
because
celebrate
they were
movies.
they were tired of him being there.
And that's kind of how it was with MacGruber too, because he's like, I'm a peaceful man. This is my home. And those kids are like, just stole his kids.
They'll bring it
Up
back.
yours, MacGruber.
It's just up yours. Right away, you're just like, okay, I can see what type of movie this is.
So, I mean, right after that, that's when MacGruber says he's not going to do it. He's out. He's out of the game.
Even with them damn kids stealing his
He's a man of
necklace.
peace now.
Yeah.
And Colonel Faith drops a bomb on him. It's personal this time. Kunt is back.
But he's out of the game.
But the players are the same.
But the game has changed.
Did you also I'll back up a tiny little bit. He was the starting tight end for
I
Texas.
did- so
Is
I-
that right?
I did write that down because I thought sports guy Brett would like that. He was the starting tight end for the University of Texas El Paso.
El Paso.
But also, can we talk about like when Piper's like going off his list of honors he gets? Did he get like 15 Purple Hearts or something?
Yeah.
Don't you like to get a Purple Heart? I don't know shit.
Wounded
but
in battle.
Yeah, you have to get. So you got wounded 15 times, and Medal of Honor. Like you're putting yourself in basically a certain death situation to save somebody else, and he did that 3 times.
It was pretty ridiculous.
All without using guns.
Yeah. All homemade. Yeah. But he agrees after he hears about Kuntz being part of it.
Well, not immediately.
Not
True.
immediately.
Not
You're
immediately.
right. Not immediately.
They still leave.
So after they go to, he doesn't go directly to the cemetery, does he?
He doesn't go to the cemetery until he gets back. So basically, next he says he doesn't want to go, and then
Right.
Colonel Faith's like, "If you change your mind," gives him a folder, and then he cuts to him dreaming.
Oh, yeah.
And then he,
And then he wakes up, and there's a picture of Kuntz on his wall.
I sleep with a picture of my greatest adversary on my wall.
And who's that?
You know who it is. Son of a bitch.
Dinkelberg. But that's all it takes, right? Just a dream.
A dream of probably the most.
some horrific scene.
The most traumatizing event of your life.
Cut to MacGruber tossing and turning in bed, having a nightmare where we actually see the events of that horrific day where Dieter von Kuntz kills MacGruber's wife.
Sorry, what was his name again? Oh, okay, cool.
So Kuntz puts a bomb somewhere near this.
In the Bible, right?
Yeah.
You think that the bomb guy would catch the bomb sooner?
But he also catches Kuntz like however far away, just rolling down his window.
It's his like spider sense.
yeah, just what is that? Just flicks his head to the right.
His consensus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Kuntz. Those are good. Yeah. But then this bomb, you see Kuntz in the car just flip the switch, and then MacGruber reacting to it, and then it just blows everybody up. Apparently.
And he survives, even though he's same distance.
Yeah.
But he saw it, so therefore he's okay.
And if we know anything, and whoever's listening, once you watch the movie, you'll understand too. MacGruber looks out for himself.
And only himself.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just realized maybe it's pretty canon that he just survives explosions because in the SNL skits, he basically blows up every time.
Oh.
And there's always a continuation.
We've said it before, but there's no stronger armor than plot armor.
So after that, MacGruber wakes up, looks like in the middle of the night while it's raining, and heads out to the graveyard. For what?
After he stares at the picture of Kuntz on his wall.
Screams at it.
Screams at it. Which he screams his name, right? Is that?
And he just kind of screams.
Because this happens multiple times, and I'm like,
He does scream.
are you
a
screaming,
lot.
Kuntz? Like, what's happening?
I mean, imagine like you're just a neighbor and you don't know what he's screaming.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? Like, we know that that's his name, but other people around him would be like, did that guy just say what I think he said?
But he shows up in the cemetery now where you see his wife's headstone with her name, and then you look over MacGruber. That's all it says.
Yeah, no first name. That cracked me up.
Just MacGruber. But this scene is so funny because you see him he's still in his monk outfit too, like sleeveless, just rocking the hair. And then he pulls out this casket. He, for one, somehow digs it up, gets it out perfectly.
I'll say this again. MacGruber walked so John Wick could run.
I mean,
Hot take, sports guy.
yeah, I could see it, especially on this. And you're like, how in the world did you do that? But then, of course, he takes out his coffin and then perfectly laid out is his clothes, his vest,
So funny.
his shirt. It's like that's what they buried of him. But the funniest part, because I couldn't quite, as I was watching this movie, I know I said I've watched it within the last couple of years, but I couldn't quite remember every little detail of everything. So then he takes off his clothes, and then you see like this metal braid, sheet metal. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But then he puts in this code, which looked like a game, honestly. Like it didn't really look like a code. It looked like he was playing a game. And then this one little hatch opens and oh, he's gonna get some guns or something like that, something major. Rabbit's foot keychain, just the start of the epicness. That's all it was.
I mean, it unlocks something pretty epic, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But he also shaves his hair back into the signature mullet look. Classic MacGruber.
In the rain, by the way.
Classic MacGruber.
MacGruber accepts the mission to go stop Dieter von Kuntz, who has already assembled his own team. So MacGruber needs to follow up, building up his own team. So he walks outside and gets into the fiercest car you'll ever see. Cherry red Mazda Miata.
Oh, Santa.
That was such a great turn because it goes from like just epic music and then he turns on his radio and it's just 80s music.
After he plugs it in, like he carried it with him.
Did you not live through that time of like CD face?
I was like, we lived through the faceplate,
Yeah, I
not
was gonna
taking the
say.
whole thing.
I didn't remember taking out the whole radio. I
Yeah.
remember the faceplate, but that cracked me up. He does that throughout the whole movie.
Which, in retrospect, it's so weird to think that someone would break into your car and steal the faceplate to your radio.
Well, then if
They
they
did
stole
it.
the radio, they couldn't use it because they didn't have the faceplate, basically.
All right. So next, MacGruber goes on his recruitment. And I don't think I should discuss this because I am not a wrestling fan. And I think our resident wrestling fans should go over the roster of the wrestlers that are recruited.
Do you want to take this, Marcus, or should I?
Wait, you guys like wrestling?
I mean,
So
I haven't watched in a while,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
I know
just
who
checking.
all of these
John.
guys are.
They don't know it's fake.
Oh, okay.
What are you talking about? What's it?
it's real to me, damn it.
I saw Santa on there too.
So I did forget that these were all
I
wrestlers.
absolutely forgot to until I saw Chris
Chris
Jericho.
Jericho.
I'm like, oh yeah.
So the first one's Chris Jericho. I don't remember any of the names, but I do remember they were all like ridiculous names.
Yeah, I forgot who they all were. But the second I saw Chris Jericho, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this scene with all the wrestlers. I couldn't remember who any of the other ones were, but I did take inventory of all of them.
I know Mark Henry.
I was like, Henry's the one.
World's strongest man, Mark Henry. Next up was Mr. Montel Vontavious Porter,
That one I didn't know
aka
him.
MVP.
I know Kane.
Kane, a.k.a. Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. the current mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
Then
and
you also
Jesse Ventura.
had the Great Khali. And then you had
The Big Show.
the Big Show. Scratch that, not him.
That part was so funny.
So the Big Show, like just kisses his partner, and then MacGruber's like, "Arr." So when you said that in the skit he's racist, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
It was so aggressive too, that shot of
The-
him just
the
scribbling
scribble
it out.
out.
I know we're going through the people, but these scenes were really funny of like what they were doing, and especially the one with Chris Jericho in the beginning.
Oh, that cracked me up back and
little,
forth.
Yeah, their little back and forth was just setting you up for those little things like looking tight. Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, you're just like, what's going on here?
It's easy when you got a 20-pound python
Yeah,
in your pants.
You and your dick jokes.
I like saying them.
I like listening to them.
I just laughed so hard in that part.
Yeah, the dialogue in this movie was so good.
So the last one was Kane?
Kane, yeah,
Yeah.
and then the Big Show, and then he crossed it out.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. The show.
I'll be honest. I didn't know any of these were wrestlers until it got to the Big Show. And I was just like, oh, he has a show on Netflix, the Big Show show.
Which
All right.
I haven't watched, but I watched somebody react to it, and it looks awful.
I didn't even know he had a show.
It's like Full House, but Big Show.
Big Show Jesse? Or who is?
He's the Big Show.
Oh.
He's the Big Show of the house.
Are there twins?
It's not like it's not a
kidding. I'm just trolling. I'm just kidding. He said it was like Full House.
All right. So he recruits all of his buddies, all with a nod, which was great.
He puts a grenade in the one dude's cup because he's homeless.
Homeless veterans.
But MacGruber has one more stop to make, and that's his old pal, Vicky St. Elmo, who we learn is Casey's best friend and was just covered in blood during the
She survived the explosion too.
And she was front row.
physically, she survived it.
I said you look shitty.
She was covered in that blood.
Vicky doesn't want to join. She's found a new career path, and that's singing.
Country singing, right?
That's her music.
I love how like every time she sings, there's people just like making like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not good.
What are you singing?
You don't have to do that.
So I love when he like tries to recruit her and she declines, and he's like, "If you change your mind," and he hands her a note just like Faith did. She opens it up. I'm at the Pentagon. It's all misspelled.
It's
So
like
great.
the worst handwriting ever.
Yeah. Again,
That cracked me up.
at this point, I've audibly laughed several times, and we're only 10 minutes into the movie.
All right, so now MacGruber has his team assembled and heads back to base, and he gets everybody loaded up in the van there. Everybody's getting pumped, and Colonel and Piper show up, so he's going to go discuss a little bit with
The brass.
Fuck
The brass. Fuck the brass. Fuck the brass.
And it looks like Piper's trying to get back on the mission, but
Because he got shat on earlier.
yeah, earlier when he got headbutted.
Yeah, we didn't mention that.
Yeah. Guess you
MacGruber-
didn't train that.
MacGruber is not a fan of Piper. He basically went up to Piper and he's
You're
like,
tacky and I hate you.
Yeah, I love the dialogue they have between each other, where he's just like, "Oh no, it's fine. I just ran my head into a big vagina the other day.
"Oh, you calling my face a vagina?"
I bet you wish your face was a dick so you could fuck my face."
What?
No, he was like, he says dude's butts, I think.
All of that sounds like Will Forte
Yeah.
humor. So whatever it is, it doesn't
First
matter.
instance of butts.
But unfortunately, the van it's full, and there's no space in the trunk for Piper because that's filled with C4 that MacGruber packed in there with his own two hands.
75 pounds of it.
Nothing can happen bad with that, right?
Which, by the way, we know what happens. Explosion. If that was 75 pounds of C4, everyone in like a mile or I don't know,
It would be much
a
bigger.
lot
than it was
bigger
in
than just the
movie.
back of a van would be exploded.
It depends on if it was actually military grade C4 or homemade C4 from MacGruber.
He said it was homemade too. He said it was.
Oh, he does say it's homemade, so that's why it's
Yeah.
shitty C4.
It's like that
It's like
tennis
Play-Doh.
ball later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the van explodes, and I remember seeing this in theaters. I don't remember laughing harder ever in my entire life.
I cracked up again, even though I remembered what happened. As soon as I saw the rest, I was like, "Oh my god, they died in like 2 minutes."
I think what makes it so funny is how Will Forte plays it. Like, just that voice he can pull off that nobody else can pull off.
It's such a like a whiny like
911. Tug, are you in there?
Oh no!
No.
I'm so sorry.
Nobody's gonna survive that. Sorry, MacGruber.
Fatality.
Oh, you got to do it a couple
Gotta
more
do it like
times.
6 more times, right?
So yeah, unfortunately, MacGruber is now down an entire team, and Faith is going to take MacGruber off the case. He's not ready. We had to have all those fucking funerals, and he had the greatest eulogy. Maybe drop a couple of those F-bombs out, but
their
pretty good.
kids had to leave.
It's because it was a fucking hard time. Okay.
They were laughing. Well, they were fucking great guys, and this is a fucking asshole of a day.
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah, MacGruber, he's off the case, and he's taking it pretty hard. Just sitting in the chair until our buddy Piper comes in, and MacGruber wants him to join the team, and he'll do anything.
Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
Never been a more appropriate use of the soundboard because that's literally where that's from.
I forgot how funny the scene is too, because I just remember him saying that line, but then he repeats it again. He's just like, "Just tell me what you want me to fuck."
And then the camera looks at Piper. The camera looks at Piper, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And then it looks back at him, and he already has his pants off.
Do you have any like copy toner? We can use that for
White out.
Some white out, some type of lube. Oh, part. Oh,
MacGruber is desperate.
so funny.
Before Colonel Faith walks in, Piper decides, you know what? I'll give MacGruber a chance, but two people, It's not a team. You need at least one more. It's a rule of 3.
But luckily, someone else is at the door.
It can wait. That's right. Vicky's back, and she's going to put her career in music on hold for now and join the team.
And 3? That's a magic number.
I feel like that fits this movie so perfect. I don't know what year that song is, but I would assume 80s.
Something like that. I mean, it very well could have been used.
Yeah, so after that...
The team is together to Tick Tick Boom by the Hives.
And they are heading out to get some info on these passcodes and what would be the first place you'd go? Dieter Von Kunth's nightclub. So they pull up and a car, I didn't catch the make or model of it, drives by and I can't remember what he says. He calls him like an idiot or
dickhead, I think. It's like nice car dickhead or something like that.
This was probably the most relatable scene in this movie because he drives by and then MacGruber just starts clocking his license plate, just KFBR 332.
KFBR 39.
He can't focus on anything else except for that license plate. So they head into the club, keeping a low profile. So naturally, what does MacGruber do? He heads up to the stage, grabs the mic.
And the first thing he does before that is he goes up to the bartender and asks it about the nuclear warhead. Before the guy can really say anything, he just smashes his head against the bar.
He doesn't know anything. So it'd probably be best for him to be stealth here, right? Since people think he's dead, like he has the upper hand, and
Yeah.
so he could probably play stealth, right?
Classic MacGruber.
I'm not much of a plan guy. I kind of just wing it.
Which is way different than not having a plan.
But yeah, he goes up on stage, grabs the mic, scares the shit out of everybody in this club by threatening their lives for being
Threatening
Vicky.
Vicky. Yeah.
Just kidding. I'll kill this woman. Just kidding. She's with me. She's not in any harm.
And he calls out Dieter Von Kunth for being a terrorist who is definitely in possession of a X5 warhead. Allegedly. I should say allegedly.
Legally, yeah. But he tells him where to meet him, right? Like, next day, meet me at this cafe, 2 p.m. I'm out of here.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
And mic drop, and he's out of there. And everybody was okay with that on the team, it seems like, right?
I feel like at this point, the team is very much questioning his methods here.
If that was you, would you still be like following this guy as Piper? I understand Vicky at this point because she has that connection, but Piper has no reason to be here.
He's a very good soldier.
And MacGruber's a legend. Following him.
Yeah, but this cuts to a scene which I forgot, and I wish I could forget again, where we see Dieter Von Kunth in his condo, I assume, doing a very classy painting, and he's got a model in front of him. And
She needs to be more wet.
But also, okay, so we know he's painting a nude old woman, but did you see his painting? It was awful.
art is in the eye of the beholder.
If the beholder is me, it's awful.
He just continuously circles the boots. Kunth gets some information that MacGruber's alive, and he's expecting his team to have stopped him,
Excellent. Bring him in.
but they did not. They let him go. He didn't seem like any kind of threat.
They actually thought something was wrong with him.
But this cuts away to the next scene where we have Vicky
Dressed like
Dressed like
MacGruber.
and I honestly forgot about this as well before they do the turn where Piper's just like, hey, MacGruber, and Vicky turns around dressed like MacGruber.
Just kidding. It's me.
I loved in this scene where MacGruber comes out and he's just like, oh, you look pretty.
You look pretty.
But it's at this time that MacGruber gives his plan that they're going to go to a cafe, send Vicky in to be the decoy.
Be the cheese.
Yeah.
When they see you, they're going to be so pissed off.
But what if something goes wrong?
They'll be 7 blocks away.
7 blocks?
Okay, more like 20.
There were no closer spots.
I mean, there were.
They were metered.
But then we see Vicky go up to make her order, and she orders a small latte. But you know what? That's not what MacGruber would
MacGruber wouldn't order that.
He wouldn't.
He would go for a large Tazo tea,
For $3.45.
Just like it always is.
Every time he
Every
gets it.
time I order it.
I order this. It's
So she pays and puts the change in the tip jar.
No, MacGruber doesn't tip.
Take that tip back.
Take it back.
This was the most uncomfortable scene in the whole movie.
such a cringy scene, but it was so funny.
Imagine putting a tip in a tip jar and then being like, no, actually, and then digging out the money back from the tip jar
The
again.
change, like digging out the change, was the worst part. It's like picks it up and then she has to tip it to get the change out.
And she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, you're not sorry. I'm not sorry.
But I'm sorry, as me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It made me think of like a Impractical Jokers thing.
Yeah,
It'd be something they would
probably where
do.
they got
I
it.
can't watch that show. It makes me so uncomfortable.
Not for the impractical jokers, everybody else around.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's like if I see somebody reacting in a way that it's like, what's happening? I'm just like, okay, I can't do this. I can't.
But yeah, this scene was very funny. Just both of them. I mean, how she acted during it was pretty amazing. She did it perfectly.
And then Haas shows up and starts lighting up their van that they're in.
20 blocks away.
Vicky's in the cafe just crying and screaming on the ground as everybody in the cafe is just staring at her.
What the fuck?
Because they're getting shot up and she's living it.
I love after like the gunfire, she's just like, my friends were being shot at. I'm sorry, I thought they were dead.
But we're missing a very important part too. How did MacGruber save him? What did he do? What did he use?
Life-saving inventions.
He's a genius who used a mop to push the gas pedal.
Yeah, like a Wando mop or something.
Wando mop?
Yeah, wonderful mop, something like that. But this is the first time where Piper gets a glimpse of why MacGruber is who he is.
It was pretty impressive though that he was able to like turn the key
Yeah, that part
and
was,
press the gas.
I'm just gonna say that guy's a fucking genius. MacGruber.
It's funny because like throughout the whole movie, he's such like an idiot, but he's also so good at what he
he
does.
just falls into stuff.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, did he really need the mop though? Could he have just crawled?
crawled over.
Maybe he would have got shot though. He had to stay on the ground.
Did you guys watch Silicon Valley, right?
No.
Season
Most
one.
of it, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because like one of the characters, Big Head, he just like
Oh yeah.
throughout the entire show falls ass backwards but up. Like he eventually becomes a CEO, like not even wanting to. Like it's just MacGruber and Big Head. They just both fail up. Amazing.
That's the kind of life I want. Hasn't happened so far. I keep falling down.
Maybe one day, but
Yeah, one day.
But they survive the attack and they ram the van into Hospender and killing him at
One
the age
henchman
of.
down.
who gives a fuck?
Just a great ad for the mop.
Fatality.
Nice. All right. So the team regroups back at the cafe in the alley, locating Hospender's car. And they open the trunk, finding a shit ton of cash, but I don't know what that could possibly be used for.
I think they're gonna use it to pay for the
passcodes.
Yeah, I was there.
Said at the same time, maybe.
Maybe
a little
even
bit faster.
No, it was for all the strip clubs that were booked in his
See, that's
GPS.
what I thought.
Yeah, like that,
He's
isn't
gonna go to the
that-
strip
isn't that
clubs.
obvious?
They need to find the location, and it's STD, which we've all been there. But that's actually a train station and a warehouse by a train station.
How are they going to get in there? Because they think Haas is going to be the one to show up, but he's dead now.
Don't worry. MacGruber's got a plan for that, which we actually switch to next, where we see Vicky now dressed as Haas, which it's obviously because she's going to be the bait. But why is Piper dressed as MacGruber?
I forgot your question. What was it?
The warehouse is pretty heavily guarded. There's at least two by the door, one on the roof. So they're going to need a distraction to get in. And Gruber, being the genius he is, pulls off the greatest trick. And it's something I feel like we've all tried.
The old celery one too.
Yeah.
See, the trick though is when you do the celery trick, you want to put the big end into your butthole. Seems counterintuitive, but if you put the small end, it'll just slip right out. So just keep that in mind if you ever wanted to do that.
I'm never going to do that.
You don't want it to slip out.
Never say never, ever.
Never say ever, never, never. This scene was once again like you got a little glimpse into MacGruber with inside the van and the mop, but now you just see him rummaging through some random oil drum that's trash. And he's like, all right, I got this. If you see this, just get it for me.
So, I mean, Vicky's costume is pretty good, right? So, I mean, she's obviously going to fool them.
It's going to take at least 5 minutes before they realize.
Walks in the door instantly.
That's like the most realistic thing ever.
I was dying. I don't think I saw what happened for like the next 30 seconds.
I paused the
because of
movie
that.
to laugh at this point.
just instantly, you just start shooting. And we have Piper up on the second floor, laying down fire, taking out people left and right as MacGruber starts to put together a homemade grenade out of a tennis ball and God knows what else.
I mean, he just needs like something to stir it with. Like if only he had Piper's gun.
I'm using it right now.
Piper takes out most of them, but one's getting away. But don't worry, MacGruber's got this one. Launches the tennis ball, and it lets off tiny explosion. Like just a tiny chemical reaction.
And this whole scene could have been different if MacGruber had just used a gun. But
Yeah, because they got away with the codes and
And the money.
the money.
Oh, I thought you were saying to stir.
Yeah.
well, or to shoot, but you know, homie don't play like that.
He doesn't use guns. Guns are for idiots. No offense.
Just like MacGyver. In case you didn't know what MacGruber was based on.
And then at the end of the scene, poor Vicky just peed her jeans.
She peed.
I just peed in them.
And,
I peed in them.
and then MacGruber is eating the celery.
That's right.
Out of his
Washed
butt.
I did wash it.
Talking to himself as Piper dressed up as MacGruber.
Right after this, they take one of the phones off of one of the bodies, and they decide, as a phone call is coming in, they need to trace the call. So they need to keep the caller on for at least 20 seconds. And MacGruber's got this covered. Answers the phone. He's just like, listen, you son of a bitch. All your guys are dead. Dang it. Did we get it? It
Did you get it? That was 20 seconds.
was like 3.
Damn it. That was fast.
Come on, does that thing work?
But Colonel Faith calls and drops some.
Second chance.
Which at this point, like the lead they had with the money is gone. Whatever. They could have like, again, looking above the movie, just kept the money, and Colonel Faith still would have called.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they did this plan and it failed, and then you're like, okay, what do we do now? And then Colonel Faith calls, oh, go to this fundraiser, blah blah. So just imagine if they would have just kept that money, Colonel Faith still would have called. They would have had all the money.
Waited like 1 hour later.
Yeah,
They would have been on their way.
this would have been a different movie.
Colonel would have called and be like, oh, okay. I guess we're going to keep all this money.
But then
Go to
they
those
wouldn't-
strip clubs.
They wouldn't have had the codes then, right? Because they were using that money.
They still didn't get the codes.
Well,
the bad guys-
MacGruber didn't get the codes, but Kunth got the codes because he used that money to buy the codes.
So in a way, MacGruber's team helped them. Got it.
Yeah, maybe they wouldn't have had the
No
fundraiser.
shocker.
This is the first time that MacGruber has made Kunt slightly wealthier. We'll get to the next one.
Yeah, so Colonel Faith drops the information that Dieter von Kunthe is having a fundraiser, and obviously they already know that. They probably already figured this out hours ago, but they need to keep a low profile. Don't go.
Because everyone still thinks he's dead, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So MacGruber pulling up in style in that cherry red Mazda Miata, takes out his tape deck and walks up.
And that sweet white suit also.
Yeah, that was sick. And
Mullet slicked back.
he has those things on his sunglasses on the
Yeah,
side.
the side guard
They
things
like clip on.
that match his white suit.
He walks up to the code check and they ask if he wants to check in his code or maybe his tape deck.
He responds with a finger.
MacGruber heads in to do some recon and regroup with Vicky, who's already been there, collecting some information from that handsome guy over there.
I wouldn't even call him handsome. Maybe even ugly.
I mean, if you think he's so handsome, Keenan, why don't you just marry him?
Yeah, just
Why don't you just quit your job
just
right
leave
now,
right now.
and go marry that
Yeah.
guy? Just leave. Go ahead.
If he's that handsome.
No, like, he's not that handsome. You know what? That guy over there, that guy has the information. I want you trailing him and stay away from that. I'll call him an ugly guy. And it's during this, we cut back to Piper, who's in the van and comes across a notebook.
Clues.
Definitely a clue notebook and not the license plate from earlier, repeated hundreds of thousands of times probably.
and like, okay, so it shows the KFBR 392, and like
The illustration.
the music gets really tense here, and it feels like you're looking at a serial killer's notebook here. Just all of the different ways
We
kill
are.
this guy.
We are looking at a serial killer's.
like KFBR 392, each thing written on its own individual page, him like shitting on this guy and whatnot. I don't yeah, it's insane.
Multiple pages of him shitting on him.
Basically, there's like 20 pages of KFBR 3982 or 3 whatever hate in this book, and it was actually, it's funny because Will Forte himself drew everything in the notebook like while on set. So this is entirely created by him, and I think that makes it even more funny.
Brought his own car. Did all the
Oh yeah, the Miata is his too, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's funny.
Oh yeah, the Mazda Miata. He actually owns that. In real life.
What's even funnier about all this is like, so Will Forte is the main star. He brought his own car. He like brings his own character from SNL. He does all this. He revealed on Bill Burr's podcast a few years later that he made $12,000 for this film. That's it.
That's all he made on this movie?
$12,000.
Wow.
I'm curious if it was a percentage deal, because honestly, like
If they like ticket
if it
sales
was-
type thing.
if it was a percentage deal, he got pretty fucked because this movie didn't make money.
I mean, he certainly like did what he could. Like he was great in this movie. He went and gave it his all, basically.
Well, you go out there and you give 110%. And you...
At what point
Alleged.
do celebrities like need the money? You know what I mean? Like, what's the number where you can just not work the rest of your life?
Fair, but also like if I'm an actor and I make hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, if there's like just a fun thing I want to do that just seems like, oh, this would be great, I'll have a lot of fun doing this. $12,000, sure, whatever, I'll do it.
I'll put celery at my ass.
Yeah, I'll do that for free, baby.
The big end.
We're all doing it right now, anyways.
Yeah, it hasn't fallen out, right?
Big end.
I've been clenching. But back to the movie. So we cut to MacGruber walking into a poker game with Dieter von Kuntz, who is clearly bluffing at this point. I could tell. So the senator across the table calls and
All in.
goes all in. And what does Dieter von Kuntz have? A flush.
Straight flush, even.
Straight flush, and wins, taking the money. And this makes him a little bit more richer.
Yeah, again.
And has something over the
MacGruber,
senator.
yeah.
The senator looks at MacGruber like, but you told me he was bluffing.
I mean, it's still your money. You don't have to call.
Yeah, imagine taking the advice of somebody who just walked in the room and was like, he's bluffing. Okay.
Wearing a stark white suit and a mullet.
Well, then I probably would believe
Yeah.
it.
No, that's,
You can't
Good
blame him,
point.
actually. Yeah, that's true.
he's doing everything he can. MacGruber drops the first threat to Dieter von Kuntz that he's going to follow through on. That once he's done with this, he's going to rip off his dick and shove it down his throat.
This pleases me.
This does not please me. I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember the whole movie, obviously, and we're not going to get too much into it, but I was like, God, I hope they don't show that.
I actually read that they wanted to do it, but Val Kilmer refused.
Oh, okay.
He went on set and he said, absolutely not going to do it. He agreed to the scene at the end where he's just mangled and scarred.
Because like in 21 Jump Street, they do that with Rob Riggle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They do something very similar.
Is that rated low?
Huh?
Is that rated low?
No, that was actually
That's very
good.
that.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad that we align with the critics on that one at least. But also sad because we can't talk about it.
But before MacGruber leaves, he gives Dieter von Kunth's special lady behind him a little bit of a warning.
I hope you liked. What's he say? I hope you like getting date raped or something like that.
That's my daughter. I'm so sorry. Dieter von Kunth calls in his security and wants him escorted out. But MacGruber, he has other plans. He's going to kick this guy, flip this guy over, and I want to get a throat rip in, so I think that's going to be you over there, Tiny.
Break your jaw.
Instantly cuts to him being thrown out the window.
Followed by his tape deck, which shatters on the ground. Which
First he breaks
he's super
it.
bummed about.
Yeah, he breaks it.
He
and
busts
then
it on the
throws
wall.
it out. But that scene was so funny where he called it out and he's like, all right. And then just gets his ass thrown out just instantly.
So after the scene, it cuts back to the team with Colonel Faith, and they are officially...
They're off the case. But then MacGruber tries the same move with Colonel Faith to get back on the case.
Tell me what you want me to fuck.
That was so great because he just turns around and he's just like,
I'll suck your
I will
dick.
suck your dick. Not this time, MacGruber.
I know, and the Colonel is just so chill about it. He's like, no thanks, man. You're good. Yeah.
Oh, he's been around with MacGruber. He knows how to.
He knows how
propositions like
MacGruber.
this.
Yeah.
Or has it worked before?
Oh, I'm sure it's worth.
But we cut to our team who is at an RV. I'm assuming that's Piper's RV. I don't know if it ever says whose RV that belongs to. But
Looked pretty nice with the string lights on the random patio.
I thought it was MacGruber's, but you're right. He was in Guatemala or wherever he was, huh?
But during this scene, we find out why Dieter
My
von
God.
Kampf hates MacGruber.
During the scene is when you find out MacGruber is the bad guy of the movie.
No, we found that out earlier.
Pretty early on. Yeah.
Giving him the codes, giving the winning poker. And now,
Well,
stole your
those
girlfriend.
those were like dumb mistakes. This is like planned out horrible thing that you did.
Yeah, we used to be college roommates. He was actually dating Casey, and they got engaged, and they were going to be married. And on their wedding night, I had sex with Casey.
It's really fucked up, man.
I know.
Well, and the worst thing was that she was pregnant with Cunt's baby, and then he had her like abort it.
I mean,
So they could start fresh.
naturally, I asked her to get rid of it, and she did. Yeah, so you can see why he's upset a little bit.
So is it too late to bring in my maybe someone needs therapy pitch here?
Who?
All of them.
Yes, definitely MacGruber.
I think the only person that doesn't is Piper at this point.
I mean, he got shot a million times. It's probably going to mess him up. Oh, wait, that happens next.
Yeah. Now we're about to talk about why you wear body armor
All the time.
all the time. Yeah. Around MacGruber.
I mean, yeah, definitely around MacGruber. And MacGruber definitely knew. That's why he used him as a human shield as Kunth's men show up to kill everybody there.
But seriously, Piper got shot probably, 60 times, it seems like. Half in the front, half in the back.
the front and back part, and then as he's laying on the car, because he throws him in the back of the Miata, he's still getting shot just in his back as they're driving away.
And then he springs to life, which this is funny because I've seen movies where someone gets shot once in the bulletproof vest and and they're dead for a second and then broken ribs or whatever. And then this guy got shot 60 times and sits up like it's nothing.
Mortal Kombat, the first one, when we were talking about how Sonya killed a guy, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure he was wearing
That's right.
a bulletproof vest.
MacGruber lets Piper know. He didn't know that he had a bulletproof vest, so he wants out of the car. He's pissed off and he wants to go home. And MacGruber and Vicky head back to Vicky's home, where we get some of the greatest scenes ever. So it starts with them in the kitchen.
Because MacGruber also got shot.
Once.
Yes.
in
the leg.
In the upper thigh. So she sits him up on the counter, grabs a...
Dirty pair of pliers.
Should I do this like more sexy? she grabs a pair of pliers and runs her hand up his thigh and then sticks it in the bullet hole. Those kinds of scenes always make me feel just nauseous.
Well, they definitely made it grosser on purpose.
She just leaves it in as it's like just sticking out.
Just like fishing around in his open wound.
And he's like barely like wincing
He's
at
like,
all.
I need the pain. He's like just down.
I
on
deserve
himself.
it.
Yeah. And then
we find out that Vicky's a virgin.
For now.
Not for now.
we find out that MacGruber always gets an erection when a beautiful woman is near his balls with a pair of pliers.
As one does.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Still waiting for it to happen to me. I'll let you guys know.
Someday.
Yeah.
This moves into the second sexiest sex scene we've had on this podcast.
Oh.
I'll explain number one, but let's go over this one first. So it cuts to them passionately getting into bed, and then it cuts away to the actual sounds of what's going on, and it is disturbing. In watching this scene, I was kind of watching Kristen Wiig's character, and I'm like 90% sure she's breaking the entire time. It looks like she's just cracking up on bottom.
She's actually read, she's like moving side to side the whole time, like because Wilford is actually dripping sweat on her and she's like trying to avoid it. But also, I read that Yorma thought that this scene would get the movie an NC-17 rating. Luckily it didn't, because, you know, would have flopped even harder. But
This is one of those scenes, though, where I just bust out laughing every time. It's just so funny. The noises that he's making, his movements. It's just hilarious.
And then Vicky tries to get into the sexy talks, and he's just like, no.
let me do the talking. Let me.
Because he was like, what was he saying?
I'm going to fill you
I'm
up.
going to fill you up. And he's
He's like, what?
She's like, yeah, I'm going to fill you. He's like, no, just so funny.
But MacGruber is now regretting this. He feels like he hasn't let go. And this is where we head
You
to
were
our
great.
number one sexy scene we've done on this podcast, where he goes to the graveyard and ends up having sex with his ex-wife's ghost.
And then it cuts to some guy in the cemetery just watching, and he's just like thrusting butt ass naked into the
nothing.
air.
Yeah.
And then what are they saying when they're having sex? I can't remember. It's like
I'm going to bust.
it's something like that.
I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna
Oh,
shoot.
shoot. I'm gonna shoot, and I'm gonna shoot too.
I shot.
Me too.
Right afterwards, so round two, MacGruber taking it like a champ.
He's reloading quick.
Very next scene. So
But what's funny about this is I looked this up, is Maya Rudolph was actually 8 months pregnant during filming this scene.
they didn't show her much aside from just her face, right?
And she's in a wedding dress, so you can pretty much
Yeah,
hide
probably
anything in
hide
a
it.
wedding dress. Casey lets MacGruber know it's okay. He can move on. So he leaves, and this leads to the most satisfying scene of this entire movie.
What are the chances?
MacGruber finds the car, KFBR 392, and he starts keying the shit out of it, busting all the windows, and pours gasoline all over it, lighting it on fire, as he gets a call from Colonel Faith with very important information. But MacGruber can't get away from getting
His
revenge on this car.
obsession. Which kind of worked out
Yeah,
for
I
him
was about to
because that's where he saw the newspaper for
State of the
today's State of the Union address.
I like to, because at one point, you know, he's vandalizing the car and the colonel says something, And he's like, what? And he like runs back to his car. And you're like, okay, he's going to leave. And then it's just to get the gasoline. So then run back to the other car and light on fire again.
It was funny how the Colonel was reacting to it too. Like you could tell he was hearing it and he was like, what is going on? And MacGruber just naturally doing everything he can to this car.
Again, the Colonel is so used to MacGruber that he just like ignores the craziness.
Yeah, he probably knows exactly what's going on.
And then the guy walks out at the very end and that's my car.
I love that. He's just like, oh, fuck you.
Drives away.
But also during the scene, after he hangs up the call, it cuts to Colonel Faith with the senator who shoots the colonel.
With a gun, not like MacGruber earlier who shot him.
He's not shooting like that.
Either way, he's injured.
That's true. Yeah.
And
MacGruber was right.
MacGruber heads back to Vicky's house, which has been trashed, and
She has been taken.
So we're gonna have.
You said the thing with the movie, with the thing that we did the last time, with the thing.
MacGruber heads out and meets with Piper, who's still pissed off, but agrees to rejoin the team to help save Vicky and stop this warhead.
Which this scene too, where Piper's like, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for all these innocent people that would die. And then classic MacGruber, well, I'm technically one of those people, so
You are
doing it for me.
But that's MacGruber's problem. All he does is talk.
So funny.
All he does is talk.
And makes things in tennis balls and
He also rips throats.
yeah, but yeah, throat ripper.
I feel like when he does that first throat rip, he misses like a cool line he could have did, because the guy walks up as they're going to infiltrate the base. He walks up smoking, and MacGruber just sneaks around and rips out his throat. I feel like that would have been a prime time to be like, didn't you know smoking's bad for you? Just rip out his throat.
Weirdest PSA we've ever seen.
Did you read the label?
He makes up for it with the second one.
He did.
So after the throat rip, it cuts to Kunth meeting with Vicky, kind of laying out his plan a little bit, giving her a TV to watch the State of the Union, where the warhead is planned to land.
It was really nice of Kunth, you know. Like she was probably bored, tied to the chair, and he like gave her a TV so she'd have something to watch. Stand-up guy, you know.
He loves disaster movies.
I loved it in the scene where Vicky's just like, you can stick it where the sun doesn't shine. He's like, where's
Where?
that? Your butt?
And then he seemed to be like upset after.
Like he really didn't know what it was. Up your butt.
But it cuts back to MacGruber and Piper, who are discussing MacGruber's last night with Vicky, where he doesn't want to be crass about it, so they slept together and fucked pretty hard. So they go up into like a control room with one guy, and I believe this is where he gets his second throat rip. And he gives a phone call to Kunth at this point.
Over the PA, like literally over the speakers.
Letting him know his location.
Subtlety
he
is
can-
not his game.
Oh, but this is a great plan. He's going to set a trap. He's not going to just let him know where he's at. They're going to set a trap. Maybe desecrate a body, but they'll set up a trap.
Just a little bit.
Just water.
one like little Dixie cup of water.
It just splashes on him, and then the
Sign.
sign, "You're all wet." And then he's like, "Yeah, that probably slowed them down so much." And then as he finishes the sentence, they're being shot at.
They're in the machine room. Just instantly, but the guy's taped to the chair, just flipping them off.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But yeah, so Piper and MacGruber get pinned down, and Piper's just laying down fire again, taking out bad guy after bad guy.
Well, it was Mac who did it, right? Because now he started using the guns.
Well, now,
Well, yeah.
After
now
Piper
gives him almost an order. He needs his help. He can't do it by himself, which, I mean, honestly, it was just a waste of bullets.
I was like, Piper could have done it himself.
I think
In
he
fact, he
actually
did.
does.
Yeah.
I like when MacGruber finally takes the guns, and he's just like, I hit a barrel.
Yeah.
That's so good. Now 8 for them. But I laughed so hard at the scene. So like MacGruber's there essentially laying down cover fire while Piper kills them all, and then they're leading in, like they're going into the side room. And then at the very end, he just tosses the guns before he walks in the room. And then Piper's like, "Where are the guns?"
Played a lot of Overwatch. He's a Reaper main.
Okay.
He's a Reaper main.
So after that, they're in a room, seemingly alone, but another villain with a gun walks in, and he's about to shoot Piper. But MacGruber jumps in front of him to save his life as the gun jams. He tried to save his life. But Piper knocks him out, and MacGruber's just licking his lips at this.
He wants that turkey. Yeah. Give that turkey dinner.
And they're discussing it, and the villain gets up, and he's about to take him out as MacGruber grabs Piper, saves his life, and gets that third throat rip.
And he uses Piper's hand
Did it
to
together.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True brotherhood. You know, these two guys, they didn't like each other. Well, maybe Piper liked him, but now you've never truly known somebody until you rip out someone's throat with them. And I've always said that.
You know, I haven't tried it yet, but when I do, I'll let you know.
Team gets captured again, and they're brought to the missile room with Dieter von Kuntz. And this is where we find out that Dieter von Kuntz, he's not behind all of this. He's not doing this. It's you, MacGruber.
What? I was framed. I promise. I had no idea. I don't know who did this.
It was Kuntz. Oh, you dick.
I'm the one that wrote the manifesto. It was me.
It's at this point where Kuntz gets MacGruber, and they hold him down, and he does the most disgusting and vile thing I've seen in this entire movie. He cuts his hair. He cuts the highlights out of her hair.
And then Mac goes full crazy eyes here.
And a callback to the flip that he did at the beginning of the movie. That's how he gets out. He does the flip. And I think he does the double throat rip.
Yep. Flip it
Yeah.
to double throat rip.
So he got the fiver. There's no word for five.
Yeah, just fire.
No, a chicken.
A turkey and a half. Turkey and two there.
Turducken.
Turducken. Yeah, I like
Nice.
it. Yeah.
Bowlers. Sports guy.
During this scene, it happens a couple of times during the movie. I can't recall a lot of them. But when he does the flip, it has like a tiger or a panther.
That's like the
growl
explosions too, though.
Yeah.
And the whole team is on top of everything here. You got Mac doing all that. Vicky's doing the like she's spin kicks in the head, and Piper finally does the old celery trick, and he did it right too. So he took the advice.
Yeah.
I watched the deleted scenes, and during that, the celery kept breaking for the guy that plays Piper, and they had to keep on bringing in different stalks of celery.
That's
for him.
funny.
It's so funny when they were doing it too. Both Kunt and his main henchman, I don't know his name. They were both just like, "The fuck are you doing?" Like that's literally how they.
That is the
reacted to it.
reaction if you see someone walking around with a piece of celery sticking out of their ass.
So MacGruber handcuffs Kunt to a piece of the warhead and oh god, moves up to disarm the warhead. This is this man's specialty. This should take no time whatsoever.
The guy's a fucking genius.
Pulls it open, and there's like a fucking million wires in here.
Oh my god!
Oh, wait, I found a green one. Oh, there's a ton of green ones over here.
Before he defuses the bomb, he pulls together a couple items that he's going to need to propose to Vicky. Probably not the best time for it, but
Which she did a good job of redirecting him too. Like they had this little awkward scene where he's like, "I just want to say, guys," and he's like, "MacGruber," and he's like, "All right," and he's like, "Give me this," and he goes into what you're saying now.
And so MacGruber goes back to the warhead and figures it out. You know what? A warhead's nothing without its thermonuclear core.
Yeah, but there's still enough juice in there to at least blow up Congress, right?
not without its guidance system, which he also just pulls right out.
Coming at you!
I thought that was so ridiculous how he just like pulls them right
Yeah,
from
they're-
the head of the
They're
horse.
exactly where they were.
He doesn't understand the wires, but the inner workings of it completely understands.
got it.
And the warhead was the weird part for me too, because if you look at, there's like this green liquid in
Yeah.
there. He's just shaking it
The
around.
thermonuclear core out, and like he pulled that out. I'm like, that's probably like radiation
I know,
poisoning right there.
And then on top of that, he didn't really. They don't take it with them, so it's still like got
in the building.
exploded.
That's funny.
Wait. You're telling me this movie doesn't portray events with realism?
He just has like a passive ability that explosions are just like reduced
yeah.
by however percent. We've seen it multiple times.
He's immune to explosions.
This one I don't know, but he and the team get out and
married as well, or engaged, I guess, because he made that ring out of all those things.
Parts.
yeah, it was a big day, big day for MacGruber. But before they get out, it cuts to Kunt, who is eyeballing an axe to the side of him.
Conveniently placed.
Possibly come back in a couple of minutes here,
No way.
Possibly.
or 6 months later, where we're at a beautiful wedding. Looks like the same location as his first wedding.
Same building too.
And during the wedding, they're going through the vows, and off to the side, MacGruber sees it again.
He feels it.
Yeah.
His what was it? Cunt.
You have to say it. I've said it. I've said his name.
What was
Plenty.
it?
Like consents or something?
Yeah, cunt sense.
Consents.
And yeah, Kunt is up there with a RPG and launches it right at the altar.
And the poor
The priest. or
priest got
whatever.
blown up.
But
Only person harmed during that.
but everyone's at this funeral, so I mean they make quick work of him here, including like all the ghosts of the team, his wife,
All the wrestlers.
and then he's like Piper, and then Piper just hands him this massive fucking gun that he just like. That means that he just has the gun with him right there, which I think is the
He's a
funniest part of
good
it.
soldier.
Piper is prepared. He's probably wearing his body armor during that too.
I mean, he's always got to wear it now. But before he got the gun, too, this is the scene where he's like, I'm finally going to do it, Cunt. Something I promised you. Tears off his pants.
I'm gonna rip off your dick and shove it in your mouth. Go ahead.
Go get it,
I
big
love
boy.
Val Kilmer how he's just like, go for it.
And he rips it open, and what
There's
does he see,
nothing
Keenan?
there.
There's nothing there. He's a Ken doll.
Got lost in the explosion.
Yes.
But what's also funny is like there was no like hole.
Yeah, that's immediately what I clocked.
Yeah.
Like, where's it happening?
Like even if you don't have a dick, like it's gotta come out, right?
It made me think of horsedick.mpeg.
Miss March.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Fantastic movie. Oh
I was
my
like,
god.
where's your little straw? That's in there.
I hope we talk about that movie because there's no way that movie did well.
Horsedick.mpeg.
Craig Robinson. Oh my god.
But yeah, it was just so funny. It was like, I'm finally going to do it. And then nothing down there. And that's when he kicks him off the ledge.
He gets pissed
Yeah.
again. He goes into that deep rage,
He's got the crazy eyes.
kicks him off the side of the cliff, gets that gun and just
Shoots
lights
him.
him up as he's falling to the ground. And then, what a grenade
like a
launcher?
grenade
Lands,
launcher.
pulls out the grenade launcher, blows up his corpse,
And then peace out.
and that's it.
With the python that he's been carrying around. Is like,
So
strong.
I don't know what you guys thought, but I felt like this scene, it's like, we don't know how to end this movie. So let's just make this death as many things as it can possibly be, and then that's it.
They could have Star Wars ended it with just like everybody getting medals except Piper.
Yeah. You know what? To kind of go back, there was one thing that bothered me about this movie is that when Piper and MacGruber are kind of like making up when they're in the warehouse, MacGruber says that he has like the perfect line that he's gonna say when he beats Cunt, and because Piper is or it's like, you always say pound and cunt, and it doesn't actually. Do you have anything else? And he's like, oh yeah, when I say that line, I'm gonna look at you, I'm gonna nod, you're gonna know. But he never does that.
Never pays off.
I was like, every time, like once he said that, I was like waiting for the end of the movie. I'm like, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it now? Never does. I wanted to hear that perfect line.
Maybe it was in like a extended cut or a deleted scene or something.
It was probably in a deleted scene or where they were actually going to show
yeah.
his dick in his mouth.
I feel like they could have added it because this movie came in at a swift hour 30.
Yeah.
I don't
Perfect length.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, are they charged more per minute in the film or something? I don't really know how that works, but
this heads into the credits, and I didn't really clock anything in this. Did you?
just more of
Classic MacGruber.
Yeah, classic MacGruber and Vicky just fucking on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, all the pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one of them. I'm actually like having sex.
Yeah, like two of them, or like one with like the waiter like serving them,
and the waiter
dance floor.
and the bartender is the guy from the cafe.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. And he puts
And
no
he
tips.
puts a no tip sign in front of him. And then the part that stood out to me most in the credit photos is like the police come and they put cunt's body in a body bag, and then MacGruber's squatting over the corpse,
pooping on.
Yeah.
The Big Show's there again with his partner.
All of these photos are just like they get more and more chaotic by the second. And then I actually like Marvel has ruined this for me. I stayed now to the end credits of everything, and it's just a little 2-second clip of him playing the sax in the tree.
On the tree at night. Yeah, he's just playing saxophone. It's great.
Just like the beginning.
All right, so that's our take on MacGruber. Now let's go ahead and jump in. We've kind of discussed the movie, but as we like to do each week, I want to discuss, does this movie hold up? And we're going to go to John.
So as I was watching this movie, I wanted it to hold up, and I think it does slightly, but when people watch this now, it won't hold up for them because there's so many things going on in this movie, and it's just lots of different directions, little tiny funny spots, but it's a very bumpy road through the whole thing. And as I watched it, it's not something that keeps my attention anymore as it once did before. It's a great movie to have, I think, in the background, or maybe somebody's never seen it, make a game out of it, but I do not think it holds up anymore. It's not that captivating to me anymore.
All right. What about you, Marcus?
I thought it held up for me. I didn't watch it a lot between when I first saw it in theaters and now, so there was a pretty big gap in between. I thought it was so freaking hilarious. So many laugh out loud moments. But but I'm also really familiar with the MacGruber skits and Will Forte's humor in general. So I don't know, like, let's say if we were talking about somebody watching it for the first time now, not knowing anything about it, maybe it wouldn't hold up. But I don't know. All I know is my what I know or my experience with it, and I thought it held up just as good as when I first watched it.
All right. Brett?
I'm going to say it does hold up, but with a hard asterisk there. And the asterisk being like, so, when we talk about if a movie holds up, it's if somebody watches this today for the first time, will they enjoy it? And I'm going to say that's a hard maybe. It really depends on a lot of things. Like you mentioned, Marcus, this brand of movie, these people in the movie, it's a very specific type of humor. So if you like the SNL of 2010, where it's Maya Rudolph, it's Kristen Wiig, it's Will Forte, all those people that Keenan mentioned. If you like those people, if you like their humor, I think you would love this movie. I haven't seen this movie since probably 2010, so it was basically a brand new movie. I remember key plot points here and there, but like I forgot about most of the jokes, and humor evolves. Like, we as people evolve. We're not static. But I found myself still audibly laughing several times in this movie. And I am somebody who loves the Will Forte humor. Last Man on Earth, such a great show, got canceled. The Brother Solomon, one of the funniest movies I can think of. But nobody I know has watched it aside from maybe you guys at this table.
No, you're forcing us to watch it at this point.
Like, it is such a funny movie. Will Forte and Will Arnett playing brothers in a movie. Incredible. But again, I understand that this humor is not for everybody. So the asterisk being, it holds up if you're into that sort of thing. If you're not, if you don't like Will Forte, you don't like Kristen Wiig, you don't find that type of humor funny, maybe skip it. But if you maybe do, you're not sure, you'd be willing to give it a chance, I think you would enjoy it if you watched it today fresh.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Brett. I think the comedy is great, but again, it does come down to your personal sense of humor. It's like I said, I enjoyed Saturday Night Live during that time. I don't enjoy Saturday Night Live as much now. I think that's a common thing that happens is during a certain age, you connect with Saturday Night Live for most people. And then you grow out of it. And this movie was just during that time where Saturday Night Live got me. So I say, yes, it stands up for me. But I mean, if you haven't grown up with this kind of humor, probably not.
I mean, and this podcast we do, it's basically a nostalgia trip for the four of us here, like a lot of these
acid trip.
Yeah. A lot of these movies, we watch when we were younger, kids, even for some of them. So if you're on any similar life trajectory as we are, there's a good chance that maybe you'd like this. So if you haven't watched it and you might be open to it and you might think it's funny, I recommend it for sure.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to some games.
Games.
All right. So we're bringing this one back this week. We didn't get to play it last week, but we get to bring it back this week. It's more appropriate.
It was the right call. We made the right call.
So we're going to play Bed, Wed, Behead. So we're going to choose 3 characters from this movie and pick if we would like to bed, wed, or behead them. So, Brett, go ahead and give us our first.
Right away, I got to say Vicky.
Marcus?
I'll say the old lady that was modeling for the painting.
John, last one?
Let's see. I think that'll be easy. Let's do Colonel Faith.
All right.
We
have a weird soup here.
There is no right answer here. All right, so
It's gonna be tough.
easy one here. I'm gonna wed Vicky. She's just really faithful. Kristen Wiig. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is tough. You know what? No, it's not. I'm going to go ahead and bed the old lady as long as she gets to be sprayed down with a bottle.
She needs to be wetter.
Yeah.
And then I will behead Colonel Faith. I mean, he made a lot of bad calls. First call, bringing in MacGruber.
Yep. Just thinking that.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll jump in. Very similar to your Keenan. I'm also going to behead Colonel Faith for the same reason, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to just bed Vicky because, she complimented MacGruber afterwards, even though he gave a very shitty performance. And I think everybody needs, everybody needs that positive reinforcement. But I'm gonna bed the old lady. Because. Yeah.
I'm not gonna wed anybody. I'm just gonna bed her.
I'm gonna wed the old lady.
I'm a bachelor for life.
And I'll wed the old lady because she was sitting there very still, very patient as Kuntz was painting her. And listen, I know I'm a handful. I know I'm a lot, and she's just demonstrated patience. So that's what I need.
And you could get a handful.
Those circles were pretty big.
And I know that the wetness chart only goes up.
I'm gonna say I agree 100% with Keenan. I'm gonna marry Vicky because Kristen Wiig. And Colonel Faith. I mean, yeah, you can't. He did make a lot of big mistakes, and frankly, the old lady looked like a good time. So she's gonna get bedded.
John's just like, how do I work Tweety Bird in this?
Yeah.
Was one of the options a three-way?
With the old lady and Faith. Let's see. I'll marry the Colonel.
Whoa.
So-
Curveball for sports guys.
So, rationale behind it, yeah, he might have made some mistakes, but he's been in that role a long time. He has at least decent judgment where the country hasn't totally collapsed by now, even though that's probably because MacGruber was supposedly dead for a decade. But I feel like he has some good, steadfast decisions. We'll have structure. So I'm gonna wed him. And I'm going to behead the lovely old lady.
Fatality.
Yep. It's a crime of circumstances, and
She was almost dead anyways.
that's true. That's why she needed to be wetter. She was drying out.
Just drying up. Old prune.
Yep. And Vicky, I will bet. Because, I mean, based off of what I've seen in this movie,
She'll fill you up.
she's going to fill me up. It's going to be amazing.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take it from there and move to our next game, 7 Degrees of Who. So this is where we're going to take an actor from the movie. One of us will pick that actor, and we'll take a celebrity from randomcelebrity.com and try to connect them.
You didn't pick a person, Keenan. So you should pick the person from the movie.
Well, I was gonna say you should, since you
never get to do
do.
it.
Okay, if you insist. All right. So from the movie, let's go. All right. I'll just keep it simple. We'll just go Kristen Wiig. So yeah.
All right. And our random celebrity is Tony Hale.
Okay. All right. Tony Hale. So obviously we're gonna have to cross into TV here, right?
We don't have to.
Why can I not think of anything he's in besides 2 shows?
Oh, he was in a pretty somewhat recent
Okay, well,
Disney movie.
I don't know it, so my goal is to go through shows.
I don't.
That's fine. One of the shows I'm thinking of, he can. Yeah, okay. So we'll go. Kristen Wiig was in Bridesmaids with Melissa McCarthy.
Okay. Melissa McCarthy was in that St. Vincent movie with Bill Murray.
Bill Murray was in The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou with Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. No, I don't want to do that because we're going to count that as
I was like,
a Marvel movie.
don't use our
aren't
Marvel.
we?
We got one. I mean, you can use it. Feel free. I can take us
It's
where
a
we need to go.
Sony movie.
For the original ones. That's true. It's technically true.
If it's in the MCU, we're
But
counting it.
these original ones weren't. They were Sony movies.
I
But
feel
they're now
like
part of the
technically-
MCU. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire is actually the first MCU character. All right. Well,
Fine.
I'm going to use it. I feel like it's just going to open it up, and we'll
Spider.
hopefully be able to finish it. Willem Dafoe was in Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire.
Okay, Tobey Maguire. All right, let's see. There's a lot of places to take this. Okay, got it. I see another way out of this. Tobey Maguire was in Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller.
I was like, what was he in Tropic Thunder? Now I remember. Played himself, right?
Yep. With he was in a movie with Kurt Lazarus.
Yeah.
I see it. I see.
See what I'm doing?
Yep.
Well, Ben Stiller is not
He's
a
recurring.
regular.
Yeah. I don't think you're doing what I'm doing.
Oh, I don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
He's on.
I know he's on the show.
But if he's,
But
Multiple
he was,
episodes.
if he's in a show,
yeah,
he
but
has
he
to be.
wasn't.
The rule, our rule for a show is they have to be on the main.
He wasn't
cast.
a main cast. He was only on for like a few episodes. But I'm sure he was on.
Take a step back, though. I'm not. It's not a direct connection, but it's a step in the ladder.
I'm gonna go with, just because I have no other options, Owen Wilson in Zoolander. I'm sorry if that ruins everything.
Oh no, it absolutely does. Cool.
We'll see if we can get there from this. So Owen Wilson was in Wedding Crashers with Rachel McAdams.
I don't know Rachel McAdams movies. I know one.
We've used our Marvel movie. Yeah.
What?
Oh no,
No,
you weren't thinking of Doctor
Okay.
Strange.
Yeah. That's where mine went. But
Now I know what
yeah.
you're thinking.
I know the other movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
can think of two.
Rachel McAdams is in the classic movie that I've never seen, The Notebook, with heartthrob Ryan Gosling.
Okay, we can do this again. I know how to do this. Okay. Ryan Gosling was in La La Land with Emma Stone.
You're acting like I
I
understand.
have 3 connections now.
Oh, come on, Marcus. We all know it.
Come on, Emma Stone. There's literally one in between.
Emma Stone. Emma Stone was in Superbad
Okay.
with Michael Cera.
I still don't see it.
Who are we?
Tony
ending
Hale.
with? Yeah,
Tony Hale. John,
Okay.
I swear to God.
Michael Cera was in Arrested Development
Yes.
with Tony Hale. Yes.
We do not have time for wrenches.
Anyways, that was 12.
Oof.
It's our best.
What was our worst? Like 17?
I blocked it out.
We've had like some bad ones recently, guys. We gotta shape up here.
So what? Oh, Toy Story 4 was the movie you were trying to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Forky.
Shockingly, we couldn't find her out there.
I
There's
know.
so many big actors in like Toy Story. So, all right, that is MacGruber. Again, this scored 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's another movie we get to add to the list of critics saying Transformers at 58% is better than this movie.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Thank you. So typically at the end of these movies, Brett has the wise wisdom to bring a quote forth from this movie that really summarizes it. And for this one, just came up with never ever say never ever.
And I've always said that.
Join us next time when we talk about Step Brothers, starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Don't forget to follow us on social, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, TikTok. Check out our link tree at
linktree.com/Rotten Gems.
All right. And so that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Rotten Gems. This is weird. What do we say, fellas?
Just point to something in the room and I'll fuck it for you.
I got a better idea. No fucking way.